The film begins with Christian, a geologist, arriving home to find his wife fixing pipes instead of cooking. Their home always had problems. Christian announces that they are moving to a new home because he has been transferred. Everyone becomes happy. Shortly after, Christian returns to his office. He has to pack his things, and since it is his last day, he also plans to have lunch with his co-workers. After finishing lunch, he is about to leave when he suddenly hears an alarm. He quickly checks the monitors. The groundwater level has dropped suddenly, but nothing else has happened. This drop makes no sense, so he becomes worried. His boss tells him not to worry because the mountains look fine. There are no sensor warnings, so everything seems under control. Christian agrees and leaves, but on his way to the ferry, he keeps thinking about it. He wonders how the water level could drop so low. While waiting for the ferry, he looks toward the mountain and suddenly realizes something important. He immediately runs back to the geology center. He tells his coworker that the problem is not with the sensors, but with the cables. Christian explains that groundwater never disappears suddenly. It creates new paths and layers underground, which causes friction. If the connection is lost, it means that the friction has broken the cables. When they check, they discover that the cables are indeed broken. Christian becomes angry because no one had analyzed the situation carefully. However, the center can only issue a yellow warning to avoid causing panic in the town. Christian, however, believes the danger is much more serious. He quickly goes to find his children. They are not at the ferry because they have gone back to their mother's hotel. His son says he will return the next day. Christian takes his daughter and leaves. Meanwhile, at the geology center, George notices unusual data showing that the rocks are contracting. He informs his boss. Worried, the boss decides to go inside the mountain with a colleague to check the sensors. At the same time, Christian calls the center again to ask what is happening. When George explains the situation, Christian becomes terrified. He rushes back to check old research files. He remembers a similar event from the past. The records reveal that the mountains are not spreading apart but pulling together. The land is contracting, which is a sign of an upcoming tsunami. Before a collapse happens, the land pulls inward like this. Christian quickly calls the center to warn his boss, but the boss is already inside the mountain. Just as they decide to leave, a sudden earthquake shakes the rocks. Both of them get injured, and his colleague's foot becomes trapped between the rocks. During this dangerous moment, they lose contact with the center. At the same time, the water level drops even more, confirming that a tsunami is coming. Christian tells his co-worker to sound the alarm immediately and evacuate the entire town. Margaret activates the sirens and panic spreads everywhere as people start running to safety. Meanwhile, the team inside the mountain tries to escape. Suddenly, another rock breaks loose and hits the boss on the head, killing him instantly. Christian gets stuck in heavy traffic while trying to escape with his daughter. He starts shouting at people to run toward higher ground. As he drives forward, he notices his neighbor trapped between two cars. He tells his daughter to run uphill while he goes to help her. At the hotel, Christian's wife Eden begins knocking on every door to warn the guests about the tsunami. Suddenly, she realizes that her son is missing. Meanwhile, Christian manages to free his neighbor. He tries to help her stand up, but the tsunami wave is already too close. There is no time left. He pulls her into a car just as the massive wave crashes into them, knocking both of them unconscious. At the hotel, Idun finally finds her son. She takes him along with another guest and tries to escape, but the bus has already left. The tsunami is approaching fast. They quickly run to the hotel's emergency bunker. Unfortunately, the guest cannot get inside in time. Water crashes through the windows and sweeps the guest away. Eden quickly seals the bunker door with her son inside. Soon after, the lights go out and darkness fills the bunker. Later, Christian regains consciousness. He sees that his neighbor is dead beside him. He feels shocked and heartbroken. Slowly, he drags himself out of the damaged car and climbs up the hill. From there, he sees survivors gathering together. He begins searching desperately for his daughter. When he finally finds Julia, he hugs her tightly. Then he looks silently at his neighbor's husband, apologizing with his eyes because he could not save his wife. Meanwhile, Christian, worried about his family, went to the hotel. The bus had not arrived yet, so he left his daughter with the neighbor and continued searching. In the hotel basement, Eden was holding the door tightly to stop the water from coming inside. She told her son to keep holding the door while she checked the vents. When she moved away, water suddenly sprayed into the room. Her son panicked, and Aiden became frustrated with his reaction during such a dangerous moment. Another man trapped there also began to panic. Knowing they had no way out, he told Eden that if they did not find a way to escape soon, they would all die. Meanwhile, Christian reached the destroyed hotel. When he saw the bus outside, he checked inside it and found the dead body of a colleague. He felt very sad, but his sadness quickly turned into hope when he realized that Eden and his son were not there. This meant they might still be alive. Christian entered the hotel and started searching everywhere. At the same time, the basement was slowly filling with water. The water level kept rising, leaving less and less space to breathe. The man in the basement completely lost control. In his panic to stay above water, he pushed Eden's son underwater so he could hold himself up. Seeing her son in danger, Idun forced the man underwater and drowned him to save her child. Meanwhile, Christian searched the entire hotel but could not find them. He ignored the basement because it was flooded, and he believed no one could possibly be there. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly noticed his son's bag. Seeing the bag made him fear the worst. He thought his family might already be dead, and in anger and frustration, he began hitting the pipes nearby. In the basement, Eden and her son heard the loud banging sound. They immediately realized someone was in the building. Eden hoped it was Christian. To signal him, she started hitting the vent pipe as hard as she could. Christian heard the sound. Trying to locate where it was coming from, he banged on the pipes again to show that he was there. When Eden and her son heard the reply, they felt relieved and happy, but suddenly, water started pouring in through the vents. Christian immediately jumped into the water and began swimming through the flooded basement to rescue them. At the same time, Eden told her son that she would try to open the door. She dived underwater to open it. She did not know that Christian was trying to open the same door from the other side. With both of them pushing together, the door finally opened. They were incredibly relieved to see each other alive. Christian quickly told Eden to swim upward while he went to get their son. The boy was very happy to see his father, but he was too scared to swim underwater. Christian explained that if they stayed there, they would die. They had no choice but to swim. While swimming through the water, the boy began running out of air. To save him, Christian gave him air from his own mouth so he could continue breathing. They kept swimming toward the surface. Eden managed to pull her son out of the water, but then she realized that Christian was not with them anymore. Christian had run out of air and lost consciousness underwater. Without hesitation, Iden dived back down to rescue him. She managed to pull him out, but he was completely unconscious. They feared he was dead. They began pressing his chest to push the water out of his lungs and started performing CPR, giving him breaths and chest compressions, but he did not wake up. After trying for a long time, they finally stopped, believing he was gone. However, their son refused to accept that his father was dead. Crying and shouting, he started pumping his father's chest with all his strength and gave him breaths, desperately trying to bring him back. Finally, Christian suddenly opened his eyes. It was an emotional moment. The family hugged each other tightly, grateful that he was alive. Afterward, they made their way to the hill where the survivors had gathered. Julia was already there, waiting anxiously. When she heard the sound of a helicopter, she became sad because she thought her family was gone and that she would be rescued alone. She did not want to leave without them. Her worry continued to grow until she finally saw her family walking toward her. Seeing them filled her with relief. She ran toward her father, and Christian lifted her up in his arms. The family felt overwhelming happiness because they were finally reunited. And the story comes to an end.